Hello everyone, in my previous video I discussed the topic of symmetric cryptography, and in this video I'll introduce you to public key cryptography. Public key cryptography or asymmetric cryptography was invented to address one of the main issues of symmetric cryptography, and that is sharing the secret key. So in symmetric cryptography, you would use the same key to encrypt and decrypt data. In order to do this, you would have to share this secret key with the person you are trying to communicate with. So you would share it through the network, through email or some other form of communication. If the attacker finds out your secret key, your system is no longer secure. And to address this main flaw, this main issue of symmetric cryptography, public key cryptography was invented. This method uses key pairs, so two keys, private and a public key. And these keys are used to encrypt and decrypt data in both ways. I will explain this on a simple example. But before doing that, when thinking about these crypto systems, I want you to have this principle in mind. It's the Kirchhoff's principle, and the principle states that the enemy knows the system. Or in other words, if the enemy knows all of the information about a certain system, which means if the enemy knows the public key, encryption algorithm used to encrypt the data and encrypt the text, he cannot break the system if he doesn't know the private key. You have to have three basic rules in mind when thinking about public key cryptography. The first one is if you have your private key. So if you use the certain algorithm, there are several available to generate a private key, it's quite easy to generate your public key from your private key. That's the first rule. The second rule says that it's hard to generate, or impossible, let me be more clear, it's impossible to generate your private key if you have just your public key. And the third rule states if you can encrypt data with your private key, you can decrypt it with your public key. And the opposite applies. If you encrypted the piece of data with your public key, you can decrypt it with your private key. Okay, let me show you a simple example. How is this used? First, I will generate my private and my public key. I want to exchange messages with my friend Carlo. First thing, I will send him my public key. Then he will write his message and use my public key to encrypt his message. He will get a cipher text. It's encrypted text. This doesn't mean anything, and it can only be decrypted by me. So I'm the only one who's able to read this message, decrypt it by using my private key, and by decrypting it, I will get a plain text, and I'm able to read his message. And in this way, he can send multiple messages in my direction. These were the basics of public key cryptography. In my next videos, I will explain you the concept of digital signatures and differences between encryption and hashing. See you. Bye.